Hello, back again. I came prepared. I'll try and make this the last one for now. There may be other points to come back to and whatever, I'll get to that. But the title deliberately vampiric transference. Sometimes, fairly often, in one way or another, the people doing this kind of stuff want attention. So, in a way, you could say they're energy vampires for one reason or another, whatever their motivations. But you can often get this effect with the way the internet has developed into what it is now. There's a lot more money and time and effort put into marketing via the internet in one form or another, whether it be to sell a product, or as has been demonstrated by various bits of news over the last few years and longer, the establishment, the government, the state systems will also utilise marketing techniques to manipulate social media activity and information. For example, what they call thought leaders, people who will be busy on Twitter posting, some kind of politically correct propagandized snippet of a agenda or agenda driven, thinly veiled piece of interesting information for people to be talking about, in the same way as, like, for the previous generation it was the television would give them their opinions so that they could then go away and talk amongst themselves about what the TV has just told them. So now it's done via the internet, the social media sphere, and the commerce gets everywhere. Rub the fingers for all that money. Commerce gets everywhere and involved in everything, and it's a key plank of the entire system. So the marketing people have most definitely moved into the internet. They did many years ago, certainly over a decade ago, late 90s, all this stuff started to build up. Now it's becoming a fine art, and it's a regular job employment for people and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm digressing myself a bit. The vampiric transference effect can be partly driven by those kind of motives. People, any attention is good attention in terms of marketing. A bad story can always be spun to end up still bringing the customers in through the door, or selling the product, whatever. And then when you add into that the fact that they will use the same kind of techniques and environment for not just products or services, but for concepts, ideologies, stuff like that. So when encountering this kind of situation, another consideration is, are these people doing this because somehow they're trying to vampirically feed off something that you are doing? So maybe you're putting out information, and you, like myself, I put stuff out there. There's no monetization on my channel. I don't ask people to pay me to listen to what I'm saying, or to look at something that is in a video that I've done, whatever. But other people may want to do that utilising what you are doing. Now, obviously, you've got, in terms of a legal, judicial sense, you've got stuff to do with plagiarism and whatever, which you could fall back on if you feel a need to. Copyright, intellectual property rights, all that kind of stuff, which I'm not very keen on, but it's there, if you want to go that kind of route. But this is just to point out as a consideration. It may not be that you've actually done anything wrong. It's just that this other party sees a possibility to piggyback off what you are doing, so they create a conflict just to create joinder, to network traffic, and to put stuff that they want to say in front of your audience. Now, given that, a lot of what I do here on the internet, certainly via the YouTube and Google, whatever, because it's really the main place I am at the moment. Those two, well, it's one really, but you know what I mean. There's two sort of pages. The majority, a large amount of what I feel we're doing here is networking. For me, it's not networking for some kind of financial gain. It's networking to create cohesion such that we can have some kind of ability to gather in numbers, whether that be gathering in a virtual sense. That works, for a lot of things. I know it doesn't address everything because the physical world needs to be addressed as well, but it also enables and encourages people to go to that step where they're doing things in the physical world as well, and hopefully getting a balance of doing the two together. We need people doing a bit of each and all that kind of good stuff, but a lot of it relies on that networking. So for myself, for example, when I encounter somebody else doing things that I appreciate and I feel that there's something about what they're doing that I feel would be helpful for other people, I network with them, connect up, subscribe to their channel, or all the usual kind of good stuff, share their videos and whatever. So that side of the networking aspect to me is there's nothing wrong with that. If anything, that's a benefit that we should make use of out of this technology and the environment we've got available to us at the moment. But that consideration of is this situation being deliberately created just because the reasons, as I've stated, they want to be able to get in front of your audience and they want to drag your audience to whatever they're doing or selling, even, if they're merchandising or whatever, if they are a shill in the proper sense of the definition. That's a side topic, which I'm not sure if I've done it before in other videos, but it deserves certainly at least one video unto itself. There is a lot of misuse of those terms in this environment, and that's been building up over the last couple of years at least to become a plague on this community. No matter how sort of disparate and argumentative this community seems to be, there is still most definitely a community. Some little bits of it have more people gathering to it than others, but in one way or another they're interconnected and there is a mass. It's just getting the mass to stop squabbling amongst itself is a lot of what people have been working on for however many years. So the point being, it's another one of those relative things that you have to weigh the situation for yourself as it relates to you and what you're doing. Do you need to deal with this situation because it could affect your ability to network in that kind of fashion? Is this stuff being deliberately generated just to vampirically draw from you or sap the energy of what you're doing? The transference effect as well, it's interrelated really to the same point. So I think I'm just using two words to describe basically the same thing that I'm intending to describe. So having said that, I will try and sort of give a a roundup for what I've done so far. In my usual fashion, a lot of it is me just talking unscripted, just trying to describe a lot of what I feel relates about these kind of topics, this topic in general. As the situation is for me at the moment, I'm still waiting on responses. I will now just leave it unless something else develops from it. I don't feel that really, considering what I've done so far, I think I certainly feel that there's more than enough there to demonstrate that. Am I guilty of anything? I don't feel that I am. I don't feel I've got anything to answer to. The accusations are the usual kind of baseless and biased, paranoid to a certain degree, as I described in previous video, in the sense that this environment has made it more and more saturated with that kind of effect, such that when it comes to the truth movement, you can't go an hour without seeing somebody being called a shill for one reason or another, and it really is now silly to the point that it's like pointing at the sky and shouting "sky." Yeah, and I don't mean in the sense of, when they point at shill, it means they definitely are shill. It's just that the word is becoming completely meaningless, and that has a doubling effect to enable the agents that are out there, and the malicious con men and whatever else that are genuinely acting as a shill for some kind of product or service or whatever. It makes it easier for them to hide, because if everyone's a shill, how are you going to know who's the shill? Yeah, if we're all pointing at each other, constantly shouting shill, 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 then, like the boy who cried wolf, people will be so fed up of hearing it that when somebody really does genuinely have good cause to say this person is a shill, everybody will go, "Oh, I heard it all before, I don't need to hear it again, go away." Yeah, and that's the kind of problem that this kind of situation generates. If Crossman doesn't like what I'm doing, doesn't like me, doesn't like what I say, okay. But if you're going to accuse me of being a shill, and in implied accusations try to say that I'm a Mason or agent of the Crown, or all this kind of stuff, you've got to bring proof, mate, because I know I'm not, and I know I'm not lying. So if you want to prove otherwise, then you need to prove otherwise. Otherwise it's all just opinion and conjecture, and my gang's better than your gang, my dad's bigger than your dad, and all that kind of stupidness, which we need to evolve out of, grow out of. Am I perfect? No. Maybe if I, posted a comment in haste or angrily, ever laughed at something that I thought was silly or when I shouldn't have and stuff like that. I'm not infallible. Yeah, I think I've been quite fair and given lots of opportunity for this to be resolved in some manner. But yeah, I'll leave it there for now. As I say, I might come back and add more, see how we go. Might develop more to add to this playlist. Thank you if you've listened this far. The one thing I'll say is thank you to Crossman for giving me some energy in an almost kind of reverse vampiric fashion to do what I've just done. This is the most videos I've uploaded in quite a while, so thank you for giving me that hello cats, but inspiration to do this kind of stuff. I will get to doing other stuff now, so thank you for listening. Take the cat and I'll be off. Take care, folks. Oh, watch out, cat. I need the mouse. Cat's after the mouse.